What is up, guys? Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit. Just me today. We're going to be talking about everyone's favorite bear and bird in gaming, that being Banjo and Kazooie, and why I think they might show up on the Nintendo Switch, maybe even a little sooner than you think. But real quick, we are doing a giveaway, guys. We're giving away a copy of Astrologia on Steam. All we're trying to hit is 900 subs, and your support would be greatly appreciated. Alright guys, there's kind of 3 segments to this video, maybe 4 depending on how you look at things. One, I'm going to go over Super Smash Bros. History, and this is kind of the catalyst for the idea of this video. Next, I'm going to go through the recent Microsoft games that have been announced for Switch, or formerly Microsoft exclusive games that are now coming to Switch. And this was what really kind of put this idea in motion. And finally, I'm going to talk about how we might see Banjo on the Nintendo Switch. And lastly, when we might hear about such an announcement. So again, let's start with Smash history. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in particular has had this DLC Pack 1, of which we know 3 characters now. We have Joker, we have Hero, and Banjo will be coming this fall. Some things to think about, specifically for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is there has been either a game announcement or game release within a similar kind of window of these characters being announced or dropped for the players. And for Joker, we didn't get the Persona 5 port that we wanted, but we did get Persona 5 Scramble with Joker as a playable character. And that game is coming to the Switch. So, right, and that happened at a very similar time as when Joker was dropped. It was a few months later. And next we have the Hero. Nintendo has been doing lots to advertise Dragon Quest XI, the definitive edition of that game, the Switch version of that game. Lots of advertising has been going in for Dragon Quest XI, and that game is launching in September, just a couple short months after the Hero became live for players. So far, the 2 out of the 5 characters that are going to be announced have had either game announcements or game releases relatively close to their being playable, and Nintendo has usually timed that seemingly very intentionally. Now we have character 3, Banjo. So Banjo is announced for the fall. I think there's a very real chance that we'll have some kind of a Banjo announcement for Switch. But before we kind of dive a little bit deeper into that, I do want to talk about the one downside to the Smash Brothers theory. Doesn't apply to Ultimate. We're actually going to take a step back and look at Brawl and look at Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS and Super Smash Bros. Brawl do not follow this theory, where in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, we had a announcement of a third-party character, Snake. Snake never got a game announcement. Snake never got much of anything, actually, after he was announced in the Wii era on Nintendo platforms. There was plenty of representation for him in Nintendo, such as Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, and the NES games, among others, like the Game Boy game, but Snake never really got any significant content after his Brawl debut. Next we have Cloud for Final Fantasy VII. Again, now we have Final Fantasy VII on the Switch, but when he was announced in the Wii U, part of the reason it was such an unbelievable announcement, one, because it was like a thing for years and years and years, but 2, Cloud really didn't have a main representation on a Nintendo platform. Cloud did not have... He was in some side games, but he was never represented on the home console side of things. He was never represented in his proper Final Fantasy VII game across any Nintendo consoles, and it didn't come with any announcement. I guess what I'm trying to say is those theories hold for third-party characters, and Cloud more specifically for DLC, but it seems Nintendo has kind of taken a different approach with this DLC pack so far. And I guess the counter to that is Bayonetta 2 came to Wii U. It made a little bit more sense for Bayonetta. Regardless, we're done with Smash Brothers, guys. Let's move on to the next reason why I think we might see Banjo, and those are the recently revealed/released Microsoft games for the Nintendo Switch, of which there are now 2, if you don't count Minecraft, because that is literally everywhere. Probably on some refrigerators. For Microsoft, we have Cuphead, which has already come out, and more recently the announcement of Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition at Nintendo Indie World. Why are these 2 games significant? Well, it kind of, unlike Minecraft, showed that things are possible. It is possible that we get Microsoft exclusives coming to the Nintendo Switch. The last one I will mention is The Outer Worlds coming to Nintendo Switch, but that has already kind of been established that the acquisition happened after The Outer Worlds started. The Outer Worlds will be coming out to PlayStation 4. They are fulfilling prior requirements and then will become a Microsoft exclusive studio. Regardless, here we are with Ori and Cuphead. The thing to note with Ori and Cuphead is those were both relatively budget games. While they were actually big showcases, like Cuphead was a major showcase for the Xbox One X when it launched, and Ori was considered one of the best games on Xbox for that year. They were both budget titles coming in at around $20, and that's kind of something important to note. The games, we're not getting Halo coming over to Nintendo Switch. We are getting more budget games that make a lot more sense on the Nintendo Switch. Maybe franchises that Microsoft is not needing to tie exclusively to their platform at least several years after launch. Maybe idle franchises, for example. So here we go. That all being said, we have kind of precedent for Banjo and Kazooie making an appearance on Switch. We have some games that Microsoft has already released on Switch. How could we see Banjo on Switch? Well, I think we could see Banjo in 2 ways. Again, going back to those budget titles like Ori and Cuphead, we could see Rare Replay launch on Nintendo Switch. Rare Replay was a $30 title that came with 30 rare games. And the thing about this game is the vast majority of those games appeared in one way or another on a Nintendo platform, including the Banjo games, including Conker, as well as a few others like Battletoads that everyone kind of knows and loves. The point being, this would be a huge shot in the arm for Microsoft from a sales perspective, and a huge shot in the arm for Rare in getting sales off of that game, because there is no virtual console to speak of. Microsoft could drop 30 great classic games that all Nintendo fans remember in one way or another, including Banjo, including right around the time of the Nintendo Switch drop, and that game would sell really well. And it's one of those games where it's all legacy titles, it's not like a Halo, it's a budget title, and it would just make a lot of sense to drop those games. And that could even get people excited for any of those coming back. I know Battletoads is coming back. It could continue to drum up some excitement for stuff like that in the future. Another place we could possibly see Banjo is the Xbox 360 remake being I say very lightly, being ported to Nintendo Switch. Basically, it was an up-res of the game with different button mappings. They could easily just take that Xbox 360 game, do minimal work to it, bring it over to the Switch. You'd have a nice crisp image. Basically, what I'm saying is the work's already been done as far as an upscaling goes. Not much additional work would have to be done. Game's already there. Again, very underutilized franchise at the moment, Banjo. Microsoft could throw that on the Switch. I guarantee it would sell like bonkers. All right, so that's how I think we could see Banjo and Kazooie coming to Switch, but when would we get the announcement? So, like I said with the Smash theory, we have seen, usually you get an announcement close to either the reveal or the drop. I think a couple possibilities. One, there will almost definitely be a Nintendo Direct in the next few weeks. It would not surprise me if we see it there. We already saw Ori just a few weeks ago. Maybe we could see some more Microsoft representation at a proper Nintendo Direct. It would certainly drum up some good hype, and it would be great heading into the holiday season. Banjo is coming out in the fall, so it wouldn't surprise me if any of this happens in the fall. The next best option, I would say, would probably be the Game Awards. And there's a chance Nintendo would want to, or Microsoft would want to do some collaborative effort during that. The only reason I think that's kind of unlikely is because it's usually reserved for bigger announcements. And I already said I don't think this is going to be a new game rather than a re-release. And Nintendo's almost definitely going to be showing more Smash content there anyway. But that's my theory, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. That's all for me. I will catch you next time.